Welcome back, folks. My name is LastKnownMeal, and today we're gonna be talking about Netflix The Witcher Season 3. So the third season has finally ended, and with this, Henry is no longer going to be Geralt of Rivia in the fourth season, if that comes out, and we're going to talk about it in a second. He is going to be replaced by Liam Hemsworth as the new Geralt of Rivia. Now, I'm going to be honest, the first time I've heard the news that Henry is going to be leaving the show, it was kind of a surprise because it's not something which happens that easily, that a main character, or well, the main actor, leaves the show just like that, especially if he was someone who was fighting for the role of Geralt of Rivia, and I'm going to explain why. So initially, when I heard that Henry is going to be Geralt of Rivia, I was not really excited about this because I still had the image of him as Man of Steel, so I wasn't really seeing him fit, for the role of Geralt. Now, of course, afterwards, we have learned that he is a huge fan of the games, he afterwards read the books, and he is someone who likes to keep things lore friendly. So if it's written in the book, if it's made like that from the lore, he wants to respect that and follow that because he understands, and also is someone who's a fan of those things, that people like when everything stays true to lore as much as you can, because when you're adapting the books into a show or a film, it can be difficult because you have to pinpoint, okay, which scenes and which moments are going to be my priority here so I can create a continuous story. That was also a problem in the show, but we're going to talk about that in a second. So Henry played the role, and honestly, right now I cannot see at this moment anyone else but him when it comes to live action Geralt of Rivia. Even if you're not fully a fan of his performance, which I'm sure there are people like that, he can still be applauded because he was trying to do everything he could to portray the character as the character was written in the books, and also to stay true to the lore itself. But the problem is when you have other executives and producers and writers who have been doing questionable things in the past, like some of these reports we have heard that they were not really respecting Andrzej Sapkowski and the books because obviously they think they can do a better job. And I've met those writers in my, work, because I'm also a producer besides YouTube, so I work with all kinds of people, from writers to directors to producers of all caliber. And those personalities can be tricky to navigate, especially if you're producing something. So in the case of Netflix production, when you have people who have been questioning the books, when you have people who don't really respect the books, there is not going to be a single way you're going to be able to write that in a lore-friendly way and to capture the emotions and everything the writer wanted to give you that way. But then instead you go the other route. You go the route of sending a certain message, which I'm going to be honest is a big problem today when it comes to modern cinema in general, because let's look at it this way. Andrzej Sapkowski is already, and I think I've also read this somewhere, I think there was an article or a comment before, they were trying to out-feminist Sapkowski. What I'm saying is that in the books Andrzej Sapkowski writes, you already have strong female characters. You already have a lot of stories, for example, around Cyrilla, that are going to push the story forward. You're going to have characters which are going to be written well, that they're not going to diminish someone's personality or gender or whatever. And Sapkowski was very much talking about this. For example, if we also look at the conflict between humans and non-humans, between humans and Scoia'tael, Sapkowski goes on and on about how this entire conflict is worthless and it basically only brings you death, sadness, sorrow, and so on. And he was already tackling the issues of people fighting wars or having different kinds of, let's say, conflicts based around things which are mundane or stupid to even be thought about. So now when you have writers in Netflix, they look at the books and they cannot figure out that this book is already doing everything that they want you to do. And only thing you had to do was follow those books, and then you would basically have a show of a caliber which would rival Game of Thrones and everything else. Right now it absolutely can't. There is no question about that. And I also read somewhere that think someone wrote like what Viggo was to Aragorn, what Kit Harington was to Jon Snow. That's what Henry was supposed to be to Geralt of Rivia, you know, that character and the actor which basically become one, and you remember them for years and years and on, and you're gonna be returning to the series or a film to watch them portray that role. But sadly, they had much better writers, much better, how would I say, producers who were taking into account what the books and lore is. Sadly, Henry is not going to be of that luck unless he, you know, goes along and finishes that 40K production with Amazon, which I'm still surprised if he's able to keep everything true to the lore, but we're gonna see about that. And as someone who follows the lore, like Henry does, there is no way you're gonna be able to function in that environment, so having him leave was a big hit for that production. Honestly, it made me sad that all of that enthusiasm that he had, and probably a lot of other people on the set, is going to be diminished now. And I actually said that because of that there is a possibility the show might be cancelled, which is not something out of like the order. Bigger shows have been cancelled, much popular shows have been cancelled, shows with a much better ratings have been cancelled, so it's not me trying to, you know, say yes, it's going to be great if this is cancelled. Personally, it's irrelevant to me. I mean, I don't have to lose or make money, that was me. But these things are going to happen because production has been delayed until 2024, I believe, so that's when they're going to be starting to produce that. Of course, there has been many theories why is that going to happen, either with the writers' strike, or maybe, you know, Netflix executives want to reevaluate the project, which is not something out of the question, because usually those executives are going to be, well, they don't care about The Witcher. They don't care if you're a fan or not. If they see that they're not making a return on their investment and they can transfer that money into a different show or a film which is going to bring them more subscribers and bring them better ratings or whatever, they're going to switch to that. They are not going to be functioning on emotions just because that's The Witcher, and that's one of the reasons why I said there is a possibility for cancellation. Now, of course, I do agree with what other people also said, that maybe they're going to try season 4 with Liam Hemsworth and they're going to give it a smaller budget, because again, that's going to be a bigger risk to see how people are going to react to it, because ultimately at the end of the day, if those executives and their algorithm figure out that Witcher is going to be a viable show, they will continue it. That's basically how things work today, because production today is much different to the one which you had 15 or 20 years ago, and decisions executives make are going to be a lot more snappier because you have to work that way in this streaming environment. And now, because of Lauren and because of writers, this show is actually doomed now, so there is nothing which can be done unless wait and see how Liam is going to do that. But at the end of the day, I also saw his interview. He was like, oh, I'm so excited to play Geralt of Rivia, I have read the books, I'm going to follow. That's a problem. You already had a guy before you who tried that and it basically failed. I still think like writing is going to be terrible. There isn't going to be a huge change there. I mean, they showed with Blood Origins that there isn't really a change and they're still gonna be doing their own Netflix thing rather than anything else. So ultimately the show had and still has a lot of problems. From the writing perspective, there are problems with pacing, there are problems with characters, there were problems with miscasting, because honestly I'm very open when it comes to casting in general, because you know, you can still make some decisions to change some stuff a little bit, but at the same time, problem with casting today and generally with problem with media today is that you always, especially in US, you have always politics tied into that. So if you say I don't like the show, you're gonna be blamed that you're this or that. No, I just don't like the show, it's simple as that. Nothing to do with anything abstract here, it's just I don't like the show. But sadly today that was not going to be the case. And also I read an interview with Tomek Baginski, who was also involved in The Witcher 3 cinematics and I believe some cinematics before that, so he's someone who knows the lore. Now he said one thing which I had to double check and triple check to see if that was the case, because usually you know how it is with media, they try to over sensualize certain things, and I thought maybe something was taken out of context, but basically what he said is that they had to dumb down the series and the writing to reach a wider audience, and I think he said the blame can be placed on Americans and also young people. And that reminded me of that gif, you know, am I out of touch? No, it's these kids who are out of touch. It is honestly kinda... I don't understand why would you say that. It doesn't make any sense, especially when you start going after your viewers' intelligence and you start hurting that. I mean, that's not going to be good PR for the show. And I mean, at the end of the day, I know the lore, I follow the books, I play the games, I've been in this for a very long time. It was difficult to follow the show, even if you had everything, because they were trying to focus on things which don't make sense, they were trying to change the story too much, and ultimately it didn't make any sense. And when you tie in pacing into that, it just wasn't good and it was difficult to follow. That was something which followed them from season 1 all the way to the last season right now. And even season 1 had some memorable things. I mean, it had some problems, but at the same time, season 1, there was so much you could build up on top of that, and you can still make it successful. There was hype after season 1. People were like, okay, this is kind of going in a certain way. Maybe it's gonna be fixed later. It wasn't. It was completely ruined in the season 2, and now obviously season 3 is going to be just a cherry on the top. And I know some people find it difficult that you know, you cannot only praise the show and you have to criticize it this way, and they take it as a personal attack. You have to realize, even if you were a huge fan of the show and you don't care about anything else, you like what you're seeing in front of you. Henry still left. So you like the show because of Henry, you like the show because of Anya, or you like the show because of Freya or anyone else, you still have Henry leave. So you have to realize that there are problems on set, that there are problems in that production, and Netflix executives are not going to take that lightly. It's simple as that. That's how productions work today. And I know I can be incredibly blunt in these videos and try not to sugarcoat around it and say things as they are. I mean, honestly, this is all to blame on producers and writers. I mean, as I said, they had the talent, they had the people from all sides, not just actors, but also on a technical level. I mean, decisions they made around, for example, costumes, that can be discussed for a while now, and maybe they needed more time for that and a little bit more imagination. But at the same time, you still had the talent, you still managed to convince Netflix executives to give you a lot of money for this. And it was fumbled because of stupid decisions. When you say that everything is in the book and you don't have to change anything or change characters to fit your narrative, you still did it. And of course, in the end, they're gonna be attacking the fans, they're gonna be attacking the viewers, and who knows what else is gonna be done here. But this show could have been great. It could have. But now, absolutely not. And it's never going to happen. It's sad that this took so long, but yeah, it finally happened. Henry just broke out of that, and it's going to hurt the show a lot. And it's going to be interesting to see how this develops. I'm not going to make any big predictions here, but my prediction is either it's delayed or well cancelled after 4th season when they see that the test was not successful with Liam. And the second thing would be that it's just cancelled before, you know, season 4 even starts production. But of course, they can still turn this around. If they still see that this is somewhat a viable investment, they're going to continue producing it. Doesn't matter what reviews it has, doesn't matter how it is, they're gonna be doing that. It's just how streaming is done in general and how Netflix does things. So thank you for watching. This is pretty much everything that I'm going to talk about when it comes to Netflix The Witcher, until like maybe in the future when this new trailer comes out. But that's pretty much it for me. I just didn't enjoy it after the 2nd and 3rd season, which were just awful. First one I definitely enjoyed, and we'll see what happens in the future. Now again, don't forget to click that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed this video. Also, don't forget to tell me down below what do you think about all of this, and huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. This is LKM signing out. Stay classy everyone, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.